So you're looking to start a new exercise routine, but you're so nervous that you're gonna pee your pants or leak a little bit. So here are the tips that I'm gonna give you in order to help you keep your pants dry so you don't have to be embarrassed that you're leaking pee, because leaking urine is not normal. Even just a little bit of peeing your pants is not good. And that means that there's something wrong with the core itself, okay? So the pelvic floor is part of the bottom of the core. And if you're peeing, usually it means that your pelvic floor isn't working. One of the number one things I hear when people go to start a new exercise routine, especially as the new year is approaching, is they are peeing their pants or they're scared of starting to pee their pants because maybe that's why they stopped exercising in the first place, or at least stopped exercising in public. So some of the things that people do is in the very beginning, they'll only wear black workout pants. They are super nervous that you can see the pee or smell the pee. So maybe they'll just start working out at home, which might not last very long because their motivation wanes and they lose the discipline to keep working out at home. And the reason they never go to the gym or start going to an exercise class is because of this very reason, that they're just too embarrassed that they pee their pants. So I want to give you some tips that are going to help you keep your pants dry as you start your new exercise routine. Maybe you're doing it for a New Year's resolution and to get on board with some new goals that are going to help support a healthy lifestyle, which is awesome and amazing, but we want your pants to be dry. So you got to watch the entirety of this video because I'm going to give some really valuable advice in order to how to keep your pants dry when you start your new exercise routine. First and foremost, what you need to know is that peeing your pants, again, is not normal. Not even a little bit. Most people are like strangely okay that they pee their pants. Some people are embarrassed. Some people don't want anyone to know they pee their pants. They'll either wear pads or get on like some bladder medications to stop peeing, but they never like truly actually are able to control their urine. This is a big part of why people stop exercising, especially women. So we want to get your bladder under control. The very first thing, even though it sounds slightly scary, is that when we are worried about our bladder control, we actually need to make sure that we are hydrated and drinking plenty of water. So here you go. You gotta drink your 7-8 glasses of water a day, 8 ounces minimum. Most people tell me, well, I leak because I drink so much water. Or I'm constantly peeing because I am drinking so much water. Constantly peeing isn't good. And the bladder should actually be able to hold, even if you're drinking a gallon a day, you should be able to hold your urine about every 3 to 4 hours and need to go empty your bladder. Even if you are drinking that much water, the bladder expands, it gets used to holding that much, and you should be able to hold it. But if you can't hold it, we're going to talk about that. The reason you want to drink water is because the bladder is like this little bubble, okay? And if you don't drink water, the bubble deflates, and inside the bubble becomes very, very acidic. What that acidity does is it causes the bladder to spasm and it sends signals to your brain that you have to pee when you actually don't have to pee. And it tricks the brain into thinking you have to go all the time. So then your bladder is shrinking because it's not hitting those full capacities. So therefore, when you drink a normal amount of water or you're hydrating for your new exercise class or your new exercise routine, then all of a sudden you can't hold it. So you want to make sure that you're drinking at least 8 cups of water per day. A good recommendation is drinking 1 ounce of water per lean muscle mass. So say you weigh 200 pounds, but you have 100 pounds of lean muscle. You might not know that. So if you're like, we're 50% body fat or something around there, I'm just using these numbers just to make it make more sense. But you want to drink 1 ounce of water for every lean muscle mass or lean pound of your tissue, okay? So if, again, we weigh 200 pounds and you know you have 100 pounds of lean muscle or lean tissue, then you want to drink 100 ounces. To be on the safe side, could you drink 200 or 150? Sure, yes, of course. But we want to make a minimum of that. So making sure the bladder is hydrated. The bladder loves water. And so you want to hydrate that bladder, because the more it's hydrated, the more it's going to get used to holding that amount of fluid. I know this might scare the lights out of you, but I promise you, this is exactly what you need to do in order to start being able to hold your urine. All right, let's dive into another tip here. Before your exercise class, it is ideal to A, have a bowel movement, and B, it is good to go pee before that said exercise. Now, most of the time, going pee just in case, or when you don't have to pee, is not an ideal situation. But if you are dealing with peeing your pants, or you're worried about peeing your pants, going pee right before the exercise is a great idea. You're gonna help empty the bladder, unload the bladder, and then you're also, if you can schedule your bowel movements at a time before your exercise class, what that's gonna do is it's gonna help decrease the pressure on the bladder, which is gonna help you improve the ability for you to hold your urine. So the more stool that's sitting on top of the bladder, that means the more pressure that's built up and the harder it is to hold the pee. So again, the more that you can get that stool out by having a nice healthy bowel movement, the least amount of pressure is going to be on that bladder, so you'll be able to hold. All right, so what have we talked about so far? We've talked about A, drinking water, at least 1 ounce per lean muscle mass or lean body mass. We've talked about ensuring that you're having a bowel movement before you work out, and you empty your bladder before you work out, and that would be the only time. We don't want to be going to the bathroom just in case. Just because you're leaving your house doesn't mean you want to go pee. That's going to train the bladder into bad habits, and you're not going to let the bladder fully fill. But because we know we're going into an exercise situation that's going to increase the pressure, that is a time where it will be okay to empty your bladder prior to that exercise routine. Okay, so my next tip here is going to be to do a few bridges in order to prepare for the exercise routine. So why are bridges so helpful? Well, bridges are going to help activate your glutes, which again is going to help unload the bladder. And what it also does is it helps the organs shift up into their places. So say you have a little bit of pelvic organ prolapse. That's where maybe your bladder's coming down a little bit, or your uterus is coming down a little bit, or your rectum's coming into the vaginal canal a little bit. Descent of our pelvic organs is very, very common. Not normal, but very common. And so doing some bridges is gonna help shift those organs back to their places and help take some of the pressure off bladder, which can be very beneficial when you do this prior to the exercise routine. I also think it's a great thing to do after the exercise routine. But here we're gonna go through what a bridge looks like and how these glutes are gonna help support you in keeping your pants dry. Here we go. Okay, join me for a bridge here. I am gonna press my hands into the floor because that's gonna help engage my lats, which is also an essential part of the core, which will help my bladder also have less pressure. And then I'm gonna lift up, pressing my knees away from my body, getting my butt to activate. As I'm pressing down, you can also reach towards your feet, and then you can lower down slow, lift up again, and lower down slow. As I lift up, I exhale, decreasing the pressure further on my bladder. And as I lower, I inhale, exhale on the way up, inhale on the way down, exhale on the way up, inhale on the way down. Okay, so this is what you want to do prior to your exercise routine. And it's going to help lift the bladder up towards your head, which means that it's going to be able to hold the urine a little better and keep it in the right spot so you don't pee your pants when you exercise. So a little bit further. Now you're ready to engage in the exercise. You've kept your water intake high throughout the last couple days. You've gone pee before your workout. You've had your morning bowel movement. Now you're ready to exercise. You did your bridges. before you jump right into the exercise, I'm gonna have you do some breathing to help open your pelvic floor. Most people might be like, no, I need to be doing Kegels. Kegels, 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 so I can hold that P. Well, you know what? Kegels and squeezing constantly is actually gonna make it so more trickles out, because as you do your exercise, if you're not relaxed, then as you jump or you do a squat, your pelvic floor is not gonna contract because it's already contracted. So the P is just gonna sneak out. So we wanna be in this fully relaxed state so that when you do jump or squat, your pelvic floor naturally does this with your body, and that's gonna help kink off that urethra and kink off the bladder from losing any urine. But if it's already tight like this and you're going through the motion, the urine is just gonna trickle on through. So if you're peeing, most likely with your exercises, most likely your pelvic floor is pretty tight. So what we want to be doing is we want to breathe before this exercise. This is the final tip that I want you to implement, is as you go into doing your squats, before you do your squats, I want you to take a nice belly breath. You're gonna take a nice deep breath into belly. Exhale, let it go. As you inhale, you think about opening your vagina, opening anus, opening pelvic floor. Exhale, you'll feel a natural recoil. Inhale and open. Exhale and let it go. Okay, so I want to recap for you why it is so important that we do this breathing before we go into our exercise routine. If the pelvic floor is a bowl and the bowl is holding our bladder where our pee is, and the more we squeeze our bowl, the more it's going to squeeze the bladder and make it so the pee comes out. So if we can relax the bowl and relax the pelvic floor with our breathing, then you're not going to be squeezing your bladder. It's the best way to help prepare for exercise, and it feels counterintuitive because we're taught to do these Kegels, we're taught to squeeze and all that good stuff. But reality is we want to breathe and relax. And I have you do the breathing after you do your glute activation, because if you do your glute activation, that is going to turn on pelvic floor a little bit for a lot of people. So we want to just then breathe it back out. Breathe it to its resting position. So again, that bowl isn't squeezing that bladder. So I hope you found this helpful. I would love you to subscribe to our channel to get helpful tips, again, about all pelvic floor health and wellness, pregnancy, postpartum, fertility, keeping your pants dry as we get older, and just having the healthiest lives so we can be optimized for the entirety of our lives, right? So we aren't that lady in the nursing home that has to depend on her depends, that then she is wheelchair bound, and the spiral and the circle is so real. And if you don't have your pelvic floor range of motion and you don't have this buoyancy of the pelvic floor and you're peeing your pants, that tells you that the bottom of your core isn't working. That tells you that you're gonna absorb the shocks that the pelvic floor and your core should be absorbing. You're gonna absorb that more in your hips and your back and your knees. And we wanna avoid that at all costs. So let's collectively work to keep our pants dry. Go through these tips, commit to doing them before your workout, and drop in the comments below. Let me know if this helped you keep your pants dry. I would love to know that this helped fix your incontinence. You no longer are peeing your pants. You're no longer scared to exercise, and you can stay committed to your fitness journey and your well-being. Take care. I'm Dr. Allison Feldt. Please follow us and tag along and drop some comments below. Look forward to seeing you. Bye.